Okay, I'll admit, it is language in terms like this that makes me love Dick Tracy. Like, come on, man. What can I say? There was even a line they used in here where he said, I can shoot a fly off of a pig's behind and not hit the bacon. What? Like, oh my God. Like, I just love this. As a kid, I love Dick Tracy. As an adult, I love it even more. But I hate that it took me this long to get into the comic series. However, before we get too carried away, I want to thank you for coming to my channel today. My name is Cedric, but you can call me Ceddy Said. This is Reviews from the 6th. And today we are reviewing Dick Tracy Forever, issue 1. Now, it doesn't matter. Welcome booktube, booktubers, DC fans, MCU fans, Marvel fans, DCEU fans, Boom Comics, Image Comics. It really doesn't matter, man. If it's your hobby or your interest, then you found the right place and you belong here. Because today we are discussing our interests and our hobbies, right? So without further ado, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of art here before I get carried away into the story because I absolutely loved it. Now, I will say this story or this comic had like 2 different stories in one. For some odd reason, they wanted to take you into the movie a little bit too, which is right here actually. So Unfinished Business, as you see there, that's the movie. The other part is the actual comic itself. But yeah, they got some black and white in here. I really enjoyed it, man. Like just the old school feel, you know, that old school New York, like that slum, kind of like the Ninja Turtles a little bit, you know what I mean? But yeah, let's get right into the story, shall we? So first things first, of course, they show this character, man. He has all these lumps on his head. Like a Sharpay or something, man. But they call him the Brow. Now, the Brow is released. Dick Tracy is upset about it, right? He's just like, how can y'all let this happen? Why? We need all our best men on it right now. We need eyes everywhere, even in the sky, right? And then the commissioner is kind of like, look, bro, or the chief of police is like, look, man, I really don't trust a lot of our guys. Do you trust them? And then Dick is like, no, I don't trust them either. So what should we do? Now his girl Tess, right, is a little firecracker, man. Like, I just loved her energy and her spunk in here, right? And Tess is kind of letting them know, like, hey, you put in all this hard work. Do not let it go down the drain, man. We're going to get him. We're going to put him back exactly where he needs to be, right? She's like, but with that being said, don't forget about our date night. Now, this is pivotal, right? Because at first I was like, oh my God, why are we going down date night, right? But it plays a bigger factor later on in the series or in the comic here. So she's like, don't forget about date night. He's like, we just had date night the other night. She's like, I don't care. We're going to go see this movie. He like, all right, bet I'll be done in time to go see the movie, right? While all this is going on, another police officer is like, hey, we got a robbery in progress, y'all. Y'all need to go check that out. She like, who you talking to, bruh? She was like, I just love her energy and her spunk. She like, who you talking to? Like, I'll choke you out right now. And if he doesn't make it home in time, the police department is going to be down 1 less officer or 2 less officers, right? Because she's going to choke both of them out. Bro, I just loved it, right? So needless to say, he's like, it's a robbery. It can't be that hard, right? So he shows up on the scene. And as soon as he shows up on the scene, they're like, yo, this is really tough. Like, this doesn't make any sense. We don't even know where to begin. Long story short, Mr. Rackman has like all this money in the town, right? He kind of runs stuff a little bit. Well, they saw a man in the closet wearing a face of a face. So the language in here, they were like, so he was wearing a face mask. And then no, they were like, no, his mask was that of a face. And it was just funny, man, just going back and forth about it, you know? And I was like, okay, cool. What made it suspicious is like he took a whole bunch of rope and string and stuff. And then he had the face and he didn't hurt anybody. As soon as they saw him, he took 1 deep breath and he flew out the window. So again, the jargon, they're like, what do you mean he flew? And they were like, well, he didn't fly out the window. He rappelled out of the window. So now that's kind of intriguing, right? It's like, okay, there was a guy in your closet. He has a face of a face. He didn't steal anything. He didn't want to hurt anybody, but he flew out the window. And he took a lot of ropes and stuff, and he had a lot of ropes and strings attached to him, right? Sounds like a kidnapping in progress. So with that being said, Dick Tracy's like, hey, I'm going to leave some men here. his name is Mr. Rackman, by the way. I'm going to leave some men here so you can feel safe. Well, Mr. Rackman is like, nah, I told y'all, I already run this town, man. I don't need y'all security, no help, no nothing like that. I'm going to the movie and I'm going to enjoy the movie, right? So now Dick Tracy's mad because he's like, bro, I'm going to the movie to watch a movie with my girl there, but now I'm on more of a spy tip. I'm more of on a detective tip. So she can't even know I'm there, right? Which I found hilarious. He's like, yeah, but this is just odd. Like, who does this stuff and not take anything or abduct anyone or anything like that? Like, what's going on? So he goes to the movies, right? And he's sitting there chilling, trying to be, inconspicuous. And he's watching Mr. Rackman the whole time, right? Well, he looks over and he sees this girl, Tess, over there. Well, Tess is sitting next to a dude. So Dick loses it, right? He jumps up. Now, the funny thing is, Tess calls him Richard, when she gets mad at him or whatever. So she jumps up. He runs over to her, hems her up. Hey, like, who you here with? Like, who is this man? Who this man, Harpo? Who this woman, Harpo, right? So she pretty much lets him know, like, I don't even know who this dude is. He's here with his kid. Look. And the dude is just giving him this look, like this scowl, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, you got me twisted. Her at that? No, I'm good. We good, right? That's kind of his demeanor. So needless to say, as this is going on, Dix looks over and Mr. Rackman is gone. He's like, yo, where'd he go? So he picks up Tess and he's kind of explaining everything to Tess, like, hey, this is what's going on. So they run out of the theater, and of course, Mr. Hackman, or they see Mrs. Rackman crying. They're like, yo, what's going on? She's like, hey, he's been abducted. So they see the car that abducted him. They hop in. Tess takes the wheel now. And, back then it was kind of like taboo for women to drive and all that. And Dick is like, yo, scoot over this and that. She's like, nah, it's my car, my rules. I drive, right? So she driving, doing her thing. Well, the car in front of him that got Mr. Rackman start bucking back. Bop, 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 bop. Right? So they're like, yo, we don't want to kill anybody. And they're like, oh, no, we're going to do this as a threat to warn them off. They're warning shots. So at that point, you kind of knew that the people who abducted Mr. Rackman didn't want to kill anybody. Long story short, they apprehend him, right? I believe Dick Tracy jumps through the hood, the windshield of the car, jumps in, starts beating up the dude so badly that they're like, yo, you're beating him up. We surrender type stuff, right? They take him down to the precinct. In the precinct, they pretty much let him know, hey, we weren't trying to hurt nobody. We weren't trying to harm nobody. We are literally here to abduct him so we can have ransom. And with the ransom, what we're going to do is buy the building for the vets that he's evicting so we all can live, because he was kicking all the vets out of the building. And that made Dick Tracy mad, right? Dick Tracy was like, yo, so he has all this power and can do all this, yet these men serve the country and they're out on the streets. Unfortunately, you guys are going to be doing time too, right? So with that being said, Dick Tracy picks up like this small itty bitty case, right? But to him, it's not small. It's something big. Right? It's parts being stolen out of a radio station. So Dick Tracy's like, I took the case because it's my favorite radio station. So he goes to the radio station. He's probing around, looking everywhere. He's like, yo, why would people be stealing radio equipment? Then it dawns on him, well, maybe they're making a radio. He lifts up an event and there's a small little radio there. Whack! Wow! He gets cracked, right? He gets cracked. He looks up and it's Kid Manhattan. Now, Kid Manhattan plays on the show, right? And I forget, like, they really don't go into too much detail. It's just Kid Manhattan. And then it kind of goes into a black and white scenario, right? Like a futuristic scenario, which was kind of different for me. But they go into that scenario. So he's chasing Kid Manhattan. Kid Manhattan is telling him to eat a shoe, F off, copper, all this other stuff, right? So while Dick is chasing him, they run into the Brow, right? And the Brow was sitting there and he just start unloading on Dick, but he didn't hit Dick. Dick fires back, hits him, boom. But they get away, right? They get away. The cops come. No. They get away, but somebody knocks out Dick again, which is funny. Knocks him out cold. He's waking up to the cops, to a cup of coffee and all this. And they're pretty much filling him in. They're like, "L, so this is what's going on, man." Long story short, the Brow is helping this group. It's a German group, and the German group is called the Free Society of Teutonic, right? So they're supposed to be rigging the election, or help rig the election. So the Brow is supplying like all the equipment for them to spy. Radio stuff, everything, anything that you can make a gadget out of the spy, the brow is providing it. So that comes to the end of Dick Tracy Forever, and then it picks up, like I said, into a part where it kind of goes into the movie to where like, you see, like into the movie, No Face, I believe, what was his name, Squarehead or something like that, but it just goes into the movie. As you can see in the other arts, he didn't have the trench coat or anything on, and in this other that he did. But yeah, with that being said, man, let me know down in the comments, what do you think about Dick Tracy Forever? Are you a Dick Tracy fan? Have you read anything Dick Tracy? Should I continue reading on with this series? Make sure you hit that like button, because if you don't hit that like button, then you won't be shown more of these videos, and YouTube won't share the video or show it to anyone, period. Fighting the algorithm, I should say. Also, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Your vibe attracts your tribe, and that's what brought you here today, man. So come on, stay with it. And make sure you share this video to any and all social media platforms, specifically to anyone that you think this video would be useful for. With that said, love, peace, and blessings.